I'm Kara Ray, founder of the Powerful and Uncensored Entrepreneurs. I'm a mother, stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for the powerful and ambitious online female entrepreneurs who desire to create wealth and abundance in all areas of their life. The Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who are here to support you. They have unwavering points of views and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, sexuality, energy, strong points of views, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics, conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. Today I'm incredibly excited because I have Krista T.S. on the podcast today. So hello, welcome.
Hello, I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm glad that we were able to talk finally. It's been a while, so it's nice that we're in this space and we get to have this conversation. But I'm going to introduce you a little bit here for the listeners who don't necessarily know you. So you guys, Krista is also a TEDx speaker. She's a former political strategy advisor. And Krista excels at helping women deal with confidence-related issues, stress management, and public speaking on stage. So today's conversation is going to be powerful. We're going to talk about limiting beliefs, mastering confidence in public speaking, and just as a woman. And so welcome again. Happy to have you. And I'm so glad to share this space with you. This is going to be a powerful conversation for women who are listening to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and speaking with you, especially since you know so much about mindset and you're coaching people around mindset, because being able to stand on a stage and express yourself, it's all about having the right mindset.
Yes,
right?
I agree 100%. And that's why I think this conversation is going to be powerful for a lot of women, because I believe that, you know, in regards to public speaking or even communication in general, we hold back out of limiting beliefs and fear. And we're going to talk about a few things regarding that today as well. But the first thing I always lead with this question for everybody on the podcast is, what is something that you are currently celebrating in your life and business right now?
I am celebrating the launch of my first retreat in Greece, Crete. It's going to be around public speaking, but I'm going to make it this way that people can enjoy the beautiful weather and the sea and the sun and the food and the hospitality of Greece. So it's going to be fun while we're learning about public speaking. And can I say that now? We are going to have, on the last day, we're going to have an audition with 3 different TEDx organizers. So the people who participate in the retreat will have a chance to be a TEDx speaker.
That's incredible. That's amazing. What an incredible opportunity. I'm glad that you talked about this, because this is a great platform to share that. And I know that there's going to be women who are definitely going to be all in and say yes to that. That's incredible. So good for you for starting that. That's powerful for many, many women. And
Thank you.
I want to talk to you a little bit about public speaking and self-confidence and, you know, mothering your inner child and how all of these complement one another. But prior to doing that, do you want to give people a little bit of more of a background of who you are, how you got to this point, and then we can kind of dive into that question.
Of course. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
I was a really shy child and I was never able to speak. I preferred to write things down, even if speaking was an option for me as a child, because I didn't grow up in a household where children were supposed to be seen and not heard. We were allowed to be vocal. The problem is, for some reason, I wasn't able to speak and ask for what I wanted. So I had to write it down. And that stopped at a really crucial moment where I heard my mom and my dad fighting at 3:00 in the morning. I woke up from their loud voices. And that was the moment where I found my voice And I said, stop, you're hurting each other. I was about 12 years old. And I will never forget how I felt at that point where I said to myself, I will never allow anybody that I can help to experience what I experienced with my parents as a child of divorced parents. I said, no, I'm not going to leave another child alone in this suffering. Now, my dream was to become a psychotherapist, to specialize in children. I didn't get to that dream yet. Who knows what the future holds. But at some point, I started focusing solely in other adults and helping them connect with their inner child. And this is where I find that it's an interesting circle I've come through.
Mm-hmm. And so in regards to, you were talking about, you said your parents were divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents divorced at a very young age when I was 5. So that it really shook my family in ways that I can't even begin to explain, but it also has impacted in a very powerful way. And so I think it's incredibly being able to help, other women or other children who have been a part of such an emotional and eventful time. It's important to be able to communicate emotions, because even, now with my husband, I have 2 stepchildren, and so they come from a divorced family themselves as well. And learning how to come from, as myself, who was a divorced child, like I came from a divorced family, and now being a parent and parenting children who come from a family that was broken, it's a completely different outlook, but it's really empowering to know that I believe things happen for a reason in my life. So I believe that, as much as I never wanted to see my parents have a divorce, I was able to come from an empowered space and teach these children what they're capable of doing and to utilize their voice and not to suppress their emotions. So I like that you touched on that, because I think that's important. But in regards to, public speaking, self-confidence, and mothering your inner child, how do you believe that all 3 complement one another? Like, I know that you mentioned that you had spoken on this topic itself, so I'm just going to let you kind of go with that. But my question for you is how all 3 really are intertwined and complement one another.
In order for someone to stand up on stage and speak, one should have gone through this transformation and healing, and or have examined their lives. Socrates, the ancient Greek philosopher, used to say that the unexamined life isn't worth living. Now, he was not suggesting that if we don't examine our lives, we should commit suicide. No, he was not saying that. He was saying that in order for you to use your full potential and be of service to your family and the world, you have to know who you truly are. And in order to do that, you have to pay attention. You have to be mindful. Some people do it through meditation. Other people do it with deep self-reflection and journaling. Mm-hmm. I suggest connecting with our inner child, and that will not only help us get confidence and stand up to speak on a stage, but also to realize who we truly are. And in realizing who we truly are, this is when we actually find our true, authentic voice. And this is the moment where we speak and people listen to us, because it's not coming from the head, it's coming from the heart, and it's going directly to the heart of our audience. And I believe this is what the world needs right now: heartfelt, heart-centered entrepreneurs to share their message with the world.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. And in regards to, that inner child, I watch my children, and even my almost 2-year-old, and how ambitious and powerful and loud and just bold that she already is. And I never want her to lose that. I never want someone to suppress that on her. I never want her to change. And I even catch myself as a parent, saying, oh, stop that, don't do those things, and then I catch myself and say, no, I don't want to stop her from, being loud and being proud in who she is and saying what she wants. Because ultimately, I find that there's so many women who don't know how to express fully what they want. And I want to teach my children that they can ultimately have everything that they desire in their life, and they don't have to change who they are to fit somebody else's standards. And so I like that you're talking about that, because even as I work in my business and I have, done a lot of mindset work and inner work, you really are bringing out this inner child in you, that person that you were growing up before anybody else told you you couldn't do something, before somebody else told you that you weren't good enough or couldn't do all the things that you set your mind to. And so I think it's truly important and a valuable lesson for people to learn, to really nurture and care for, that inner child. Like, who did you need when you were young? That's everything that I go back to all the time, is like the woman that I was, the woman I am now. How would myself as a younger child, how would I need her? What would be there? How could I support her? And so I think it's powerful for women to do so. And so in regards to, anxiety surrounding public speaking, because even myself, as I find myself feeling that I'm confident when I public speak, but I also get very anxious, very red, very rosy. And I want to chat with you about, women who are currently struggling with anxiety and public speaking, and myself being, that's something I struggle with. What is something that you would guide them through or talk with them about?
First off, I have to let you in on a little secret.
I'm here for it.
Think of a public speaker that you admire. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
And now visualize or listen into your head how they move on stage, what words they use, what gestures they make. You got it?
Yep.
Now, I guarantee, and I would put my hand on the fire for this, that in their heads, in their bodies, they feel this shaky feeling, the feeling of, oh my God, now they're going to realize that I have stress now that I'm on stage. There's no public speaker in the world, no matter how experienced they are, that they do not feel this anxious feeling, this nervousness in the beginning of their speech, before and during the first couple of minutes. And it's completely normal. And that's because our really, really old reptilian brain is trying to protect us from this imaginary threat of being exposed into the group and the group rejecting us. Because back in the tribal times, when the tribe would reject us, you know what we were facing? We were facing death and isolation. Now, we say to update our limiting beliefs, but that's something that is engraved in our brains. So this is why we feel this anxiety when we speak, when we address an audience, because we are afraid we're going to be rejected from the tribe. Mm-hmm. Now, right now, we're not facing death if we are being rejected by an audience, but our brain doesn't know that. So one simple thing I suggest my public speakers is to use that nervous energy. We do not reject that energy. We do not push it down. We do not hide it, because guess what? If you push it down or hide it, it will have the opposite effect. It will come back stronger and more fierce, and we don't want that. So what to do instead? I have these little rituals that I do before I get on stage. One, I do something physical, like push-ups, or I jump up and down, or I do some power posing, or all of the above, right? I use that energy before I get on stage. Once I get on stage, I make sure to engage my body and use my hands, because if we stand still, it's like, have you ever seen, have you ever felt like a pressure cooker when you're standing in front of a group and you feel your blood pumping really strong and your hands are shaking and your knees are shaking and your throat is tight and you're feeling this uncomfortable feeling in your belly and you feel that you cannot control that. The trick is to move just a little so you can utilize this energy either with your gestures, either with your body from one side of the room to the other. That is why you see many public speakers, especially the good ones, that do not stand in one space on the stage. Even in the TEDx scene, in the TED, they have this round red carpet where you are supposed to stand.
Yeah.
Well, they make it big enough so people can move around. That's something really, really useful for the public speakers. Now, I can share one more trick.
Yes.
Okay. That's one of my favorites too. Let's say you are in a conference room and you cannot really move from one side to the other, but you still have to use that nervous energy, right?
Yeah.
What I like to do is I have a pen and I look at my pen and I say to the pen, now I allow you to take all that nervous energy and give it a home. And I visualize all that energy pouring down into my pen, and then I simply put the pen down. That's it. Now I have a home for my nervous energy. It's safe. It's still there. Didn't go anywhere, but it's not in my body. That trick makes the brain believe that it's okay. It's there. It's not far away. I didn't push it down. I didn't reject it. I gave it a home. So that's it. There you go.
I like those. Both of those pieces of advice are actually, they're very relatable, but it's just they're also very simple but also very powerful. So there's things that, and why I say simple and powerful is because you don't necessarily think of something like that, but then you realize that, wow, I could just do that. I could just move around. I could just, put my energy into an object, because really I believe everything has energy. Everything is moving. And in regards to, the speaker that I was thinking about was Tony Robbins, and he does not stop moving ever. I don't think he ever stops moving. So that makes a lot of sense. And he's very energized and he gets people moving, and then they're not so anxious. And so I think that's totally relatable on a lot of factors. And, when we're talking about public speaking, because, at the beginning here, I was telling everybody that you were also a TEDx speaker. And what was your personal experience with, anxiousness, with confidence, speaking on that stage? Like, how did that make you feel? And how was that experience empowering for you?
I have to say that I was really stressed. Fairly, because I didn't have the space to do the warm up, like I said, to do my push-ups or to do my power posing. We had the stage where the speakers were on. Right next to the stage was a couch that the speaker that was going next was sitting. So it was one person at the stage and 3 people on the couch. So I found myself into this position where I had no choice but to sit there still. And for me, this was the worst part, because I needed to move. I needed to do something.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that the audience could see us, could see the speakers waiting in line to speak.
Yeah.
So what I did to release that nervousness was to just, do you know the Kegel exercises for the vagina? Can we say vagina?
Oh, that's fine. It's uncensored. You can say anything.
Where you have to squeeze and then release.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I did progressively for all the muscles in my body, that I would feel the nervous energy. So I would feel it a lot in my shoulders. Yeah. I would go squeeze and then release. Squeeze and release. That made me so relaxed without having to go through, jumping jacks or dancing up and down or things like that. At the point where I got on the red dot, the little red carpet, I was so pumped that in the beginning you can hear my talk is really high pitched. Remember that time when as a child you had this and that. That was because I had in mind how my one woman would feel after listening to this talk, and that's basically how I made this talk. What is the kind of woman that I want to help? I visualized her, and I visualized the struggle she's in with confidence. And I had two people in mind. One was a business person, a businesswoman who cannot really find her voice and speak to her ideal clients and share her services and products. And then I had another woman who was in corporate, and she kept being, bypassed for the promotion, or she couldn't ask for a raise or things like that. And I went up on stage having these two women in my mind. And I said, okay, how can I serve them? How can I share some ideas that can help them? Mm-hmm. Now, the power of that approach is that in thinking about your ideal client when preparing for a talk, it gives you the idea of what really matters. And what really matters is how you can be of service to them, how you can make them, to empower them to take a different approach in life, so their lives can be a little bit more positive, to have a positive change in their lives. And that is another way to take the edge and the pressure out of you, mm-hmm. and put it in the importance of your message. And that's what I believe is the most important when thinking about a talk. So that's what I did with my talk. And I was so, I don't know why, I had this fire in me. Fire means a little bit of anger. So I went on stage with this energy, and I had people come to me afterwards saying, your story is my story. Yes, you made me see life differently. Now I can be in peace with myself. There was a woman that came to me that she said things that I didn't expect, right? I had only two women in my mind, the entrepreneur and the manager.
Yeah.
There was a woman that came to me and she said, I'm going back to school. Your talk inspired me to do so. And there was another woman that said, I will stop. I will leave him finally. I will leave my abuser.
Yeah.
There was a 16-year-old girl that came to me and she said, I'm going to learn to speak like you so I can be on stages like you. Like, yeah. If only there were these three women that were helped, I mean, my job is done. I'm happy.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. And I think it's beautiful that one story doesn't just have to just impact, one woman, that it could impact women in so many different ways, that we interpret things so differently. So, as I speak about how each woman is unique, well, so is our mindset and the way that we perceive things and our emotions and how we carry those waves. And so it's so true in regards to your experiences, how, yes, you had these two women in mind, and those women were impacted, but so were these other women. And it's just because the way that they process and they think about things and the relatability towards other things was there. And so I think that's extremely beautiful. And it is a dream of mine to be able to speak on a public stage and to speak in that form and to empower women. And so I'm loving this conversation with you because it also instills that confidence, knowing that, everyone who does speak on stage is nervous. everybody who does has, you know, these doubts, these limiting beliefs, but they carry through and they move forward instead of sitting in fear and not doing the thing. And so if there was one really strong message that you could leave women with on this podcast today, what would that be?
Once you can connect to your higher purpose, the reason why you do what you do, the reason why you get up every morning, and you could put that into words, share it with your clients, you can change the world one speech at a time. Go out there and do it. I believe in you.
That is beautiful. I need to go back and listen to this, and I'm going to write that down, and it's going to be a quote on my board. Oh
yes.
That is, it's true, and everyone can do it. It's just really moving through that fear or those limiting beliefs that was, you know, everybody, I think at one point in their life has stopped themselves from doing something that they ultimately wanted, but then realized and either went forward or are still stuck in that spot. And, you know, I don't want women to be there anymore. I don't want women to be constantly living in fear or doubt or self worry. I want them to go forward and move forward and achieve their goals and empower themselves and to empower other people, because it's exactly what you're doing. Through speaking with people and going on this public platform is literally empowering other women to pursue their dreams, whether that is also speaking on stage, whether that's going to school, whether that's leaving, you know, a toxic relationship, whatever that looks like to them. You're inspiring them to be able to have that self-confidence and that power to do that. And I think that's absolutely beautiful and inspiring and empowering to so many people. So I just want to say, you know, being able to have this conversation is beautiful, and to have you a part of this podcast is incredible. And before we go, because I want people to be able to connect with you further, because I know that you have a ton of more information about this. And so if there's any women who want to connect with you further, how can they do that?
I'm all over social media. So the ChrissaGroup.com, CHRISA group.com, or Chrissa TS. You can find me on my YouTube channel, the Chrissa Group, where I share a little video every Thursday at noon. And I would love to connect more with you. At this point, I have to share a little secret, and maybe your listeners will find that interesting. We all have our phones, right? It's the simplest thing to find a subject that you're passionate about and share it on video. This is how I got on the TEDx stage. And you know, my videos were not having many likes or shares, but people are watching you, even though if they do not comment or share or like. So the TEDx organizers found my videos and they said, oh, we'd like for you to apply for this event. So for those of you who want to get on the TEDx stage, keep putting content online. Keep showing people your ideas, your passions, and your thoughts. This is all valuable. And even if you don't get on a TEDx stage, people will still notice. And that's what you want, to be noticed, to be heard, to be seen.
Mm-hmm. I think that's well, first off, that's incredible, and also very true, and how people should continue to keep sharing their passions and what is, you know, weighing on their hearts, because I believe it's there for a reason, and there wouldn't be a dream or desire or an aspiration placed on your heart if it wasn't meant for you. So I firmly believe that it's just taking action and aligned action to move yourself into that space. And so I will make sure that all of those links in towards your YouTube channel and everything is directed on there. And it'll be in the show notes, everything, so everybody can go and just click on you right away and go straight to you. And really, is there anything else that you would love to be able to chat about on this platform before we go?
I would like to share with your audience how great you are for doing all these things and empowering people to actually be the best version of themselves, to be truly themselves, actually, because you are doing it, girl. You are a successful entrepreneur, a happy mama, and you're about to release your new book.
I know. There's
You're a great example for all of us. Thank you.
you.
You're very inspiring.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and that means a lot to me. It is incredible to hear that I'm empowering other people, or that even when you say that people are watching, people are. And, you know, I've had that happen where I'm worried about, are people watching? Are people paying attention? And then months later, I've had messages come in about how one thing inspired them to do this grand thing. And I had never spoken to them before, but they were watching. So it's, you know, always be attentive to that and know that people are there. They, like you said, they might not be commenting or sharing or liking or doing everything, but they're watching. So I appreciate your compliment so much. It means the world to me. And I'm glad to share this space with you, and I'm glad to have this conversation with you. And I know that this won't be the last of the conversations we have.
That's only the beginning.
Yeah. And so on that note, to everybody, as you guys know, as you guys heard, I will make sure everything is in the show notes there. So if you want to connect further, you know where to go. And to everybody else, I will catch you guys all in the next episode. So thank you again, Carissa, and we will chat with you soon.
Thank you. Bye.